All right, I'm ready. Do you want this way or?
That was good. That was great.
All right.
Thank you, Andy, for letting me interview you
Of
today.
course, of course.
Um, so first, I just want to start out with, tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name's Andy Varnes. I currently live in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm still in college, but I do run a photography and videography business called Real Time Media. I work with the Jaguars and do a couple different other ventures such as real estate, architecture, and yeah, just a little something about me.
And you used to go to Reinhart.
I did. I went to Reinhardt for 2 years, and that is actually where I kind of got my start in photography.
So then you were at Reinhart. What made you make this switch to Jacksonville?
So I originally, just like many people at Reinhardt, I originally went to Reinhardt to play a sport there, but ended up getting hurt. Was never able to play that sport. But the coach told me that if I learned to take some pictures and kind of helped out with the team, he would honor my scholarship. And so that's how I kind of got introduced into taking pictures, and I'd always been kind of interested in it. But that was kind of the start for me.
That's awesome. Okay, so when did you start photography? So you started at Reinhart, is that correct?
Started at Reinhardt, I believe, about 3 years ago.
Okay. And then how did you find a passion for photography?
Well, I found a passion for it probably just with just working with it, hours on hours, because after I quit basketball, I realized I had all this time on my hands. And so I tried a bunch of different things, whether it was music, art, but photography really just stuck out because it really, I honestly don't really know. It was just clicked as a passion of mine.
So how did you get started with the Jaguars? Because that's pretty cool.
So the way I got started with the Jaguars, it's kind of a funny story. But when I moved back to Jacksonville, I didn't know, anybody, no one. When I left Jacksonville, I hadn't even picked up a camera before. So coming back, trying to get clients that, you know, that was going to be impossible, basically. So what I ended up doing was printing out fake. I would go to high school football games and I would print out fake media passes, and I would take the school's logo, put it on the media pass so I could get into the football game. And that is kind of how I built up the business, was sneaking into these football games and then showing these coaches, here's some pictures, and so then they started bringing me out. Well, during one of these football games, I met someone that worked for a magazine in Jacksonville. I ended up doing a free photo shoot for her, sending her different photos, and worked my way up through there. And they had an opening at the very last Jaguars game. And, I jumped on it. I went out there. I shot the game. I probably took over 3,000 pictures by the end of it. Um, but uh, but here's kind of where it comes into play of me going the extra step. I went and reached back out to the Jaguars, and I donated a lot of my photos to them so that they could use for their social media. And that is kind of how I built the relationship with the Jaguars.
That's a really good idea. So what's the best and worst part of your job, or the hardest part?
Okay, so the the best part, for me at least, is showing the client or the person or the family member the photo, and they're just breathtaking. They're like, this is such a great photo, and you capture that person's emotion, or you just capture the building just perfectly, and it is exactly what they wanted. That's by far the best part to me. I remember, I think what really solidified that I wanted to be a photographer was I got a great shot of a high school football game. The kid, he hadn't played all year. The mom told me. So afterwards, I learned the kid, he had played all year. He ended up making the interception to end the football game, and was a hero for his team. And I was able to send his mom that, and she told me she'll be able to look at that for years and years and years and be taken right back to that moment of seeing her son, helping out his team and and securing the win. And so that's by far the best part. But the worst part is, I don't know. I love, most things. I do love, taking the pictures. I love going in and turning a bad photo and editing it up to where it looks like a good photo. But honestly, probably the worst part for me is everybody in today's world says or wants to be a photographer. With Instagram and with iPhones, you can take amazing photos with your phone and everything like that. And so you, especially being a young individual, telling someone I'm a photographer, usually it kind of it doesn't necessarily rub them off the wrong way, but you always get these kind of nice faint smiles like, okay, yeah, he's not gonna go anywhere with that. And so that's probably the worst part, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's definitely hard. Is there someone you think that has influenced you the most with your photography?
Probably. So there is a NFL photographer named Logan Bowles. He's actually from Jacksonville. I've worked with him a couple of times, but he is actually so the NFL, they have 10 photographers that they basically send all around the country to shoot different, primetime games. And he's one of them, and so I've I've reached out to him multiple times, and he's just someone that I look up to kind of see how he does his photos, and I have done a lot of my photos kind of similar to him. So if there's someone in the photography world, it's probably him.
Have you heard anything back when you reached out?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've met him a couple of times at the Jaguar football games. I've met him a couple of times at practices. So he knows who I am. He not a friend relationship obviously, but it's definitely more of a professional relationship. And but I have told him how much he has influenced my photography. So
Out of all your out of all your pieces, do you have a favorite or a favorite like genre to shoot?
sports by far is my favorite genre. I really love doing sports, and I've actually had a couple people ask me that. Most people think it's the Jaguars, but honestly, the most fun I have is shooting high school football games, and weirdly enough, like Pop Warner, little Pee Wee, like 8-year-old football games, and 8-year-old basketball games. Um, the I'll be honest, those games are about 50 times more intense than a Jaguar or college football game. Those moms, if they see their little Johnny get hit, they are coming onto the field, and it is an exciting thing to see, and it's always a fun time to be out there. So
That's
probably high schooler, the little Pop Warner, and then high school, obviously I love it because it's amazing giving these kids and these parents a photo that it's the same quality of a photo that a Jaguar player would get,
mm-hmm.
and seeing their face when they're used to seeing these iPhone pictures and these low end cameras, when they're used to those pictures, and they'll see something that that I've done or that one of my team members have done, they're blown away. So that's always fun.
That's awesome. What kind of cameras do you shoot with?
I mainly shoot Canon cameras. So generally I stick with a 90D, 90D, and then I've also dabbled with some Sony mirrorless cameras. But mainly when I'm shooting a Canon 90D, simply just because I just love the way it shoots and everything.
So you say that would be your favorite?
As of right now, it is, but I feel over time I really like mirrorless cameras. The way they autofocus and such really helps in in shooting a football game or a basketball game or soccer game. And so if I knew that Sony was the only one that would stay mirrorless, I probably would make the switch. But I have a feeling that over the next couple of years that Nikon, Canon, and all those are gonna start coming out with some mirrorless equipment, which so then I'll probably upgrade to one of those things that haven't come out yet.
That's awesome. So when you think about your career, just like with everything that you've done so far already, what are some hopes that you have for your career in the future?
Oh, well, the ultimate goal is honestly just being able to make a good living off of this job. You know, currently it's still a kind of a part time gig for me as I'm still putting myself through school and such. But the ultimate goal is to continue to kind of build this business. Currently, I have 5 photographers on my payroll that I'll send out to different schools and locations, and it's just basically ultimately building up this media business into something sustainable.
That's awesome. So I guess another question to piggyback off that is, so in 5 years, would you see yourself owning your own photography company?
Hopefully that's kind of the goal, and at that point I would probably be more focused on the actual business side of things over the photography side of things. I don't necessarily see myself still going out to shoot as much. I probably still would shoot, weddings um and different, high end events and such, that because there's certain things that I only trust myself to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, then yeah, I would probably, I mean, hopefully, yeah, I would have a fully sustainable business to where we have photographers shooting. So the goal for, I don't know about 5 years down the road, but the goal for by the end of 2021 is to be shooting 60 recreational / high school games per week.
Wow, that's awesome.
So between, you have your high school Pop Warner, um, middle school, and such, going all the way down to club to schools and everything, is to shoot about 60 games per week.
Nice. So how do you, if that's your goal, that's awesome. So how do you connect with those clients? Like, how do you make that um, dream like a reality?
Going out and shooting for free the first time and showing your product.
Mm-hmm.
That is that in the photography world is actually a pretty big no-no. They don't, a lot of photographers don't like that because they're saying, oh, you're bringing down the market and everything like that. But in my view, it's saying, I know I have a great piece of work and I want to show my client this, and that's the only way I can show my client this. So that is generally how I have found a lot of my beginner clients over this over when I first started it. I would go out to just like I said, how I got started with high school football. I went out there and I'd shoot the game for free, and then on the back end I would be able to sell the pictures to the parents and such.
That's awesome.
um Same thing with the Jaguars. When I went out there, I shot the Jaguar game absolutely free, just so I could say I shot the Jaguar game. And then from there, I began to gain work from them after shooting them for free. Same thing with the different recreational sports, to where I was out there. I had there's a lot of NFL players that work out here in Jacksonville in the off season, and so they would text me, and I would go out there and shoot their trains and stuff like that for free, just because you'd have all these different athletes coming around, and that you could network and make connections with them. And one time there was a kid out there, and his dad, he was the head of a pretty big association, and he saw my work, and a lot of work came from that. So probably the biggest tool of networking for me is just being out there to where you can start up a conversation. And whether that's working for free or at a discounted price, it doesn't matter, because what your goal is the future business. Because so and basically when the first 6 months, a lot of my work was for free, but now I've done so much. Unless it's a new venue, then obviously everything's gonna be a pretty good price paid for. But I can charge those prices now because of all that work that I did in the front end.
That's awesome. Okay, I have one more question for you. What makes a good picture?
For me, a good picture is what's going to make my client happy. So I I shoot pictures and I like them very natural. I love to shoot them, with a lit. I'll edit them and everything like that, but I don't like to change the coloring that much. But if the client wants it a lot of different color, or black and white, or wants a certain preset on it or something like that, and I can give them that, then for me that's a good picture. It may not be my style, but the client likes it, and their need has been fulfilled. So it's a good picture for me.
So as long as the client is happy.
Yeah, basically, as long as the client is happy. I could go into, well, you need, looking at it needs to have a good depth of field. It needs to be clear and such, like, and all that stuff. But I've had clients to where they want, they want everything in the picture to be completely clear. That no depth of field. I've had clients to where they want everything in depth of field, everything, that, like, one to where not even the full face is in focus, just the eyes are in focus. Because everybody's different. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for letting me interview you today. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck with all of your future photography stuff. And thank you for everything.
Of course, thank you for having me on.